Tefillah. All the soldiers and for the refuah of the choilim, may they all come back home. May there be Mashiach and Chayos HaMesim very soon. This Shiur is now starting, and we are in Amud Yomi Kiddushin Ayin Beis Amud. Really, Amud Beis. However, although we're in Amud Beis, and I welcome here all the people who watch us on YouTube and Torah anytime. But before that, I want to correct a mistake I made yesterday. So I would just go back to one line in Amud Aleph. The line starts with the word Ela, and then we have the pasuk from Daniel, Utlas Eloin b'puma ben shineha. Yeah, and I translated it wrong. I apologize. So the pasuk says as follows: the animal that we refer over here from Daniel's vision is the bear, as you guys were saying, and the bear is Persia, right? Right. However, the dream was, or the vision was, Tlas Eloin b'puma. There were like 3 ribs in its mouth. In the mouth of the bear, there were 3 Eloin sloin. Eloin is like sloim. There were 3 ribs in the mouth of the animal. Bein shineha. So it was, as I said before, it was on one hand, it looked as if it's bepuma in the mouth, and sometimes it looked as if it's ben shinaim on the outer part of the mouth. So sometimes it looked as if the bear swallowed those 3 lois, as if they're swallowed inside, and sometimes it looked as if it's on the outside in the outer part of the mouth. What does that represent? So now, as we said, the Arum. So Omar Rabbi Yochanan said, Zu Chilozon, Chadyav, Venetzivin. The 3 towns which we mentioned yesterday, Chilozon, Hadyav, and Netzivin, those 3 cities with their Jewish population, Shepeomi Bolatan, Upomi Polatusan. Sometimes the Malchus of Persia, sometimes they swallowed them, they controlled them, they governed over them, and sometimes Polatusan, sometimes they would actually not be in charge. They would not control them. As we know, many times there are towns in which, in Eastern Europe, used to happen all the time. Yeah, some towns were under the government of a certain country, and then others conquered them, and they were under the governing of another country. And that was the story of those 3 cities, Chilozon, Hadai, and Netzivin. That's a real pshat. Now let's go to the next page, to today's Amud. Okay, thank you very much. Apologies again. Today we are in Ayin Beis Amud Beis, and we're talking here, the top of the page, about what Rebbe HaKodesh envisioned, all kinds of Ruach HaKodesh messages that he had on the day of his death. Yeah, on his deathbed, Rebbe, which was, as it is, a very holy person, all of a sudden, before he was nifter, the neshama got even higher, and he could see all kinds of visions that otherwise he couldn't. And he told people all kinds of information. One thing that he said was, Hayim Noilad Rav Yehuda beBavel. Rebbe was nifter in Eretz Yisrael, and he said, today, before I die, right before I die, today, the day of my death, almost, that day, Rav Yehuda was born in Bavel. Now, that makes a lot of sense historically. Why? Rav Yehuda was a 2nd generation Amoira. Rav Yehuda was a Talmid of who? Of Rav and Shmuel. Rav and Shmuel were the rabbis of the teachers of Rav Yehuda. Rav and Shmuel were Talmidim of who? Of Rebbe. Rebbe was a teacher of Rav and Shmuel, both of them. Shmuel was also a doctor. And Rav and Shmuel, they were under Rebbe. And now, when Rebbe is dying, then their Talmid is being born. The Omar Mal, and now we're going to see a bigger concept over here. It says, Kshemeis Rabbi Akiva, when Rabbi Akiva died, Noilad Rebbe. Rabbi Akiva, the day Rabbi Akiva was nifter, right before his death, Rebbe was born. And this makes sense because Rabbi Akiva was the master of Torah Sheba'al Peh. He was equivalent to Moshe Rabbeinu, but with Torah Sheba'al Peh. And Rebbe was the end of the Torah Sheba'al, not Torah Sheba'al, the end of the Mishnah, right? Shemes Rebbe Noilad Rav Yehuda. The day of Rebbe's death, Rav Yehuda was born. Shemes Rav Yehuda Noilad Rava. When Rav Yehuda was nifter, then Rava, again, generations ahead, Rava was born. Shemes Rava Noilad Rav Ashi. When Rava died, on the day of the death of Rava, right before Rava's death, that's when Rav Ashi was born. Who was Rav Ashi? The end of the Gemara. Rav Ashi was the editor of the Gemara, 5th or 6th generation of Amoraim, and therefore we see that there was always continuation, and the next best thing, person is always born right before the death of the current gadol. This comes to teach you she'en tzaddik niftar min ha'olam ad shenivra tzaddik moisoi. A tzaddik does not go out of this world. Yeah, a tzaddik does not die, does not pass away until a tzaddik like him, another tzaddik, the next one to bear the torch, is born, already is created. Shenema, as it says in Koheles, v'zorach hashemesh uba hashemesh, v'zorach hashemesh uba hashemesh. Funny, it says zorach hashemesh, the sun rises, and then it says that the sun sets, meaning what's the sun? The Gadol. So zorach hashemesh, the sun, meaning the next Gadol is beginning to shine. Yeah, it's like the very early sun rays of the morning begin to already break through daybreak before the great sun is setting, i.e., dying. One sec. What? Yes, yes. Before the sun sets, already the new sun, so to speak, already is daybreak, already beginning to shine. And we continue to prove that from another story from the Tanakh, an occurrence in the Tanakh before the Tanoim. Ad shelo kovsa shimsho shel Eli, before Eli was the Kohen Gadol in the Shiloh, in the Mishkan Shiloh. Very good. In Mishkan Shiloh, his sons were not great sheikhs, but he was a very big Gadol. He was a Navi. And until the son of Eli did not die, meaning until before Eli's death, before Eli died, Zol Choshim Shel Shmuel Ramosi. Then Shmuel Ramosi, the famous Shmuel Navi from the Ramah, Shmuel's son began to shine. What does that mean? Not only he was born, he began to prophesize. He got nevuah right before the first buds or sunrays of nevuah started by Shmuel, before Eli was niftar. Sheneemar, as it says in the Novi, we are, by the way, in Kiddushin, Ein Beis Amud Beis, the first wide line. Ein Beis Amud Beis, first wide line. Yeah, Sheneemar, how do we know that that was the order or the chronology by Shmuel? It says, V'ner Eloikim terem yichbeh, the candle of Hashem did not yet, die out, did not yet extinguish. Shmuel Sheichev, and Shmuel lie down, and all of a sudden he heard Hashem speaking to him. So it Ner Elokim really means the menorah. It means the menorah of the Mishkan. But figuratively, it means the Navi Eli. Before Eli died, right then, Shmuel began to get the nevuah, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu always has to have, or we have to have, great people, Nevi'im, to lead us. We can't say today there are no Gedolim. Of course there are Gedolim. Yeah, there are different Gedolim than maybe 100 years ago, fine. But you always have the great person, and he's always there for us. Let's now continue, not to do now with Rebbe's death. We're now going back to the previous issue. If you remember, we spoke before about different towns in Bavel, and some towns had Amonim, some had Mamzerim. Now we're going to focus on one of these towns. It says, Tziva Hashem leYaakov. This is sadly very, very relevant to today. It's a pasuk, and you're talking about the soldiers who died. The Lo Lein Rachmana Litzlan, a single son and his only son, and people amputated their legs. No, so we are. Well, it's not exactly news. We are surrounded by enemies, right? Only the Egyptians and Jordanians are extremely, very, very friendly, of course, very. But the other ones are they attack us all the time. Right? Excuse my cynicism, yeah. But Lamaisa, what do we know? We're surrounded by enemies, yeah. Even when we are in Golus, even when we are in Chutz La'aretz, many times wherever there are Jews, they're surrounded by anti-Semitic people. See under all types of cities in the world, yeah. So this is really a prophecy in Eicha. It says, Tziva Hashem leYaakov, Svivav Tzorov. Hashem commanded that the way it's going to be for Yaakov is Bnei Yisrael in Golus. Even when we're in Golus, Svivav Tzorov. The ones surrounding us are Tzorim, are people, troublemakers, enemies. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it on purpose. Why? Because if we're surrounded by enemies, we're not going to marry them. We're not going to be their friends too much and intermarry. Rav Yehuda Omar, now regarding the city that we mentioned, says Rav Yehuda, Kigon Humnia lepum nahara. If you remember, we said yesterday, the town of Humnia is called Humnia because it was populated by Amonim. Now, Amonim were always terrible people. They were very unfriendly to Am Yisrael. Ammon and Moav were bad neighbors to Yerushalayim, it says in Sanhedrin. And the people of Humnia, which was heavily populated by Amonim, they are right near Pum Nahara. Humnahara had a Jewish population. Humnia was full of Amonim, so there was an animosity between the Goyim of Humnia and the Jews of Humnahara, and that's the way it is in Golus, because unfortunately sometimes that's the only way to know that we are Jewish. Very friendly with everybody in Columbia, in Yale, in Harvard, until they show their true faces, and you realize they're not really your friends. Wow, burst the bubble. Oy oy oy. Yeah. Veiki Novi. Now we're going to see a pasuk from also to do with the Golus of Bavel and the location of Jews in Bavel. A pasuk from Yechezkel. I learned the chapter today. We're not going to go through the entire chapter, but let's see what the Gemara says. Basically, I'll give you the preface. Yechezkel had a very harsh nevuah against Am Yisrael. You're going to go to Golus. The people said, no, we're never going to go to Golus. We'll stay in Yerushalayim, including the wicked people who murdered others or caused the murder, it says. And they told Yechezkel, you're talking nonsense. We are in this city like the meat inside a pot. Just like the meat stays in the pot until it finishes cooking, it doesn't go out of the pot. You don't take the meat out of the pot until it's cooked very well, right? You're a sado. So too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will never take us out of the city. We're sitting pretty. We're going to be here forever. And Yechezkel said, no, the other way around. The ones who are going to stay here are the people whom you killed. Their bodies will stay in town. But you're going to go to Golus Bavel. One of the major players of that time was a so-called important person by the name of Platya ben Benayahu. Says the Yechezkel Novi. Veiki as I was saying my prophecy, Uplatyahu, that's a name, not Platyahu. Platyahu ben Benayahu Mace. Platya ben Benayahu, all of a sudden he died. Yeah, as Yechezkel was saying his prophecy. The apple al ponai, I fell over my face. The eza kol godol, and I cried with great voice. Yeah, with loudly, I cried out loud. The oimar, and I told Hashem, aha, Adoni Hashem, oy oy oy, are you taking away Klal Yisrael? In other words, it looks as if, from some reason, Yechezkel was unhappy that Rosha, that guy Platyahu died. You should have been happy. So now we're going to see a machlokes. What is it exactly that bothered, if it did bother Yechezkel, but the demise, the sudden yet natural demise of Platyahu? Rav Shmuel have an argument. Chad Omar letoiva, v'chad Omar lero. Wow. One of them, we don't know who says what, Rav or Shmuel. One of them said letoiva, meaning that really that Platyahu was a good man. In spite of all the bad things, we're going to see now he had a saving grace. He had some good points in him. And Yechezkel really bemoaned his death. The other opinion said, no, he was a bad man. And Yechezkel was happy that, what? So why is he crying? He should be happy. He was unhappy that he died naturally. He should have gone to Golus. He should have suffered and not die, such peaceful death. Let's see what the two opinions are. The Gemara is going to elaborate on both. Man de Omar letoiva. The opinion, again, we don't know who says what, either Rav or Shmuel. The one who says letoiva, meaning that he saw Platya as a good man and he was sorry that he died. The story is as follows. What was the good story about Platya? It says like this. Kiho, the standra de Meishan, the standard of Meishan, meaning the governor of the country of Meishan, Chasne de Nebuchadnezzar Hava. He was a son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. Shalachle. Now the son-in-law sent the Shver, the father-in-law, the following letter. And he said like this. From all the captures, from all the captives, all the captivity, all the captives, the Isislach that I brought you, lo shadrat la dekaila, come on, don't you send some of them at least to us so they should stand in front of us? Which means the son-in-law helped the father-in-law in his war against other people and against the Jews. And he's not complaining. He said, I helped you to bring so many captives, and I need manpower. I need people here to serve me. Bring me some people to serve me here in Meishan. Why do you keep all your captives only in Bavel? Only you. I also helped you. I deserve to get some captives over here as slaves. So what happened next? By Lishdur Elohim Yisrael, Nebuchadnezzar, he wanted Lishdur Elohim Yisrael. He wanted to send him some people from Israel, the Jewish people, because really Nebuchadnezzar, he conquered many countries. Yeah, he conquered like the entire world. It says the entire populated world. He says, I'm going to give you the best ones, the Jews. They'll serve you. Omele Platya ben Benayahu. Oh, Platya ben Benayahu here intervened in favor of the Jewish people. And he said like this to Nebuchadnezzar. He was now lobbying, yeah, in for with Nebuchadnezzar. And he said as follows: Anan de Chashvinan, we are important people. We Jews, the important ones, us, for example, him, Platya was a choshev a mensch, Neku mikamach, we'll stay here in front of you, Nebuchadnezzar. You're a king, you're going to get top quality avodim, us. Hacha, we'll stay here. The avodim nezlu lehosom. The avodim, meaning the Eved Knaini, our slaves, they will go and they'll go there and they will serve Mr. Son-in-law in Meishan. Now the question is, let's just continue, and then I have a question. The Omar Novi. Now the Novi, Yecheskel complained and said, Misha also Toiva b'Yisrael, Yomus b'Chatzi Yomov, the one who did such a big favor to Klal Yisrael, and he, instead of sending the Jews themselves as avodim to Meishan, instead he convinced Nebuchadnezzar to send the avodim, the Eved Knainis. Why? He did something very good for Klal Yisrael, that he prevented them from being avodim in Meishan. So he's going to die b'Chatzi Yomov. Does he deserve, although he was very bad in many other ways, but he has that saving grace. He cared about Klal Yisrael. Would he die so early, halfway through his life? Question. What's a big favor? Yeah, I'm asking the question. Yeah. What's a big favor? Who cares? They're any avodim. It's not like he managed to free them and then they went to America and they went to Disney World. They're going to be avodim in Nebuchadnezzar. What's a big achievement? That they're going to be avodim in Nebuchadnezzar and not by son-in-law in Meishan. Rashi answer. Rashi is hinting, and unfortunately other people missed it. I've seen other, doesn't matter. Rashi says, he saved the Jewish people from being slaves to slaves, which means the son-in-law, comparing to the father-in-law, was less choshev. It was less important. So if you're an Eved, but at least you're an Eved by the king's palace, Nebuchadnezzar was the biggest Russia. But at least you're in a real palace, the real royalty. There you have higher standard. At least you know I'm an Eved in the king's palace. That is a bit of a bissel and a choma. Mashenkin, if there'd be a vodim, but the son-in-law in Meishan, that's even worse. Eventually, Meishan and Echanami. By the way, that's another thing I would add. Eventually, Bavel really was the best place for Jews to live. Very Toyerdik. Mamzer free. Meishan, we said, Meishan Mesa. Meishan was the place most full of Mamzerim. So at the end of the day, it was good for them to stay in Bavel anyways. But the idea was he wanted to give the Jews to raise their morale that even if they're avodim, they're working for the king, not for some silly, mayor of some town, not somebody so choshev. Also true, very good. Yeah. The devil right. They knew Nebuchadnezzar. The devil you don't know is the other guy. That's the standard. Very good. So that is the one that says that really Yecheskel saw the positive in this Platya guy. Again, not exactly a nice guy. And he cried over his death. Somebody dies, you find the good points. However, the other opinion who claims that Yecheskel should have been happy that he died. What was so bad about Platya? Besides what I told you now, there's something even worse. It says a few pokim before that. It says, Hashem brought Yechezkel to Beis Hamikdash, either physically or by nevuah. He saw a vision and he saw what happened in the times of Beis Hamikdash, although he was already in Bavel. And he brought me, the wind brought me, or the spirit brought me to the gate of Beis Hashem HaKadmoini, the eastern gate of Beis Hashem, Apoine Kadima, which faces east. Vehin bepesach hashar, in the opening of the gate, by the gate, 25 ish, there were 25 people. Amongst those 25 people, which soon we're going to see they did something really bad, two of the 25 were Yozniah ben Azar, our good old friend, Platya ben Benayahu, Sorei Ha'am. As I told you, there were ministers, there were, key people, there were VIP. Uksiv, although it doesn't say it about them, but right after it says, it brought me, whatever it was, the Kodesh Baruch Hu brought me to the inner court of Beis Hashem. Yeah, that is the opening, the door, the gate of the Ulam, the main building of Beis Hamikdash. Yeah, behind that is a mizbech. If you have basic knowledge of geography of Beis Hamikdash, right? There's mizbech chitzon, the big huge one, right? There's a kior on the side, and then there's the ulam. So between the mizbech and the ulam, the main building of Beis Hamikdash, again, what did they see? Hey, our good old friends, about 25 people. Their backs were to the Heichal Hashem. Their back was facing. They were standing with their back towards the Heichal. The Heichal was behind them. Upneim kedma, and their faces were towards the east. We all know it's very confusing because we all know Mizrach is the Oren Kodesh, but that's because most Jews come from Europe or America. But really, where was the holiest place of Beis Hamikdash? In the west. Yeah, the Shechina was in the Ma'arav. Yeah. So now they were basically the west, meaning Kodesh Kadoshim, the holy part. They were their back toward, yeah, the back. They were standing with the backs to Kodesh Kadoshim, the Kodesh, and they were facing the east. They were facing the exit of Beis Hamikdash, the Shar Nikoner, the outside. Yeah, they were facing there. There's no Shar Nikoner, Bais Sheni, Bais Rishon, but they're facing the east. Correct the Gemara. Why do you have to get into so many details? If I know that they're facing the east, don't I know that their back is to the west? You don't have to be a geography buff to know. You're facing east, then your back is to the west. Yeah, like otherwise, there's no other way. So Matal Mudloimar Achorem Alechal Hashem. So why is the pasuk telling me that their backs were towards Heichal Hashem? I know Heichal Hashem was in the west. How many times do you have to say that? Oh, it's coming to tell me something much, much, much worse. First of all, I want to say that really says the person should not be standing with his back toward the Kodesh. I don't know the halachic details, but conceptually, yeah, a person, well, like when you leave shul, yeah, you leave back right like that, yeah. In other words, it's not respectful to be your back to the Aron Kodesh. We're not going to halachic details. Mashenken here was saying something much, much worse. What these guys were doing was way worse. Listen to this. Melamed shoyu mefarin atzmon. They would basically uncover themselves. They would take off their, part of the clothes. Umatrizin atzmon klape mala. In other words, they would actually do the toilet in Beis Hamikdash towards Kodesh Kadoshim. That's not nice. Yeah, basically they would uncover, yeah, and use that holy place toilet. The achoraim doesn't mean just back; it means back. You know what I mean? Yeah, and therefore that's kind of really, really bad. That's kind of disrespectful, right? The Kamar Novi. Now the Novi is complaining about this Meshugane guy, this Platya, and the Novi says, Misha Osa Roz Israel. Somebody who did something so horrible within Klal Yisrael, Yomus al Mitosoi, is going to die a peaceful death. He just died. He dropped dead like that. He should have had Yisurim, Golus, at least Golus, right? He should have gone to Golus, yeah. Now, so Mimela, that's Machlokes Abu Shmuel. So have Machlokes Abu Shmuel. We don't know who says what, okay? And Machlokes is, again, let's sum Machlokes. According to one opinion, we don't know who. What was Platya's saving grace? Definitely not a good person, but Platya had one saving grace. What is that? He convinced Nebuchadnezzar to bring you have to listen carefully because it's a very important point for the Hemshech HaSugya. He convinced Nebuchadnezzar to send Avodim Knainim, recently owned by Jews, send our Avodim Knainim to your son-in-law, and we, the Choshuva, will serve you. VIP for VIP. Makes sense. Very nice. That is the one who says that Platya was relatively a good guy. Now the Gemara wants to say, this time the Shmuel the Omer Lero. Let's assume now that Shmuel is the one that says Lero. Shmuel is the one who says that Platya was an extremely bad person. He does not see anything positive about Platya. Why? Because soon we're going to prove that Shmuel does not believe that Platya convinced Nebuchadnezzar to send Avodim to Meishan. How do you know that? The Omar Abchia Bar Abin Omar Shmuel, it's the same Shmuel we're talking about all the time. What did Shmuel say? Mushchani Harehi Kigoy Lo Yochsim. Remember that from yesterday? We saw it twice. Mushchani was that town to the very left of the top river, yeah? And then of the Chidekel. So now, Mushchani is a very holy place. Everyone is like Pumbedisa, Miyuchosim. It's full of Miyuchosim. Meishon, what did we say yesterday about Meishon? Remember, Rav said Meishon Mesa.
Meishan is full of mamzerim. Now Shmuel argues on Rav. You know what Shmuel says about Meishan? He says, Loi chashula lo mishum avdus. When you want to marry a girl or a boy from Meishan, there's no concern of avdus. There are no avodim or avodim's children, descendants in Meishan. The lo mishum mamzerus. No, I disagree with Rav. In Meishan, there are no mamzerim, or not enough to be concerned. Ella. So what's the issue with Meishan? Why is Meishan a bit of a dodgy place? Kohanim show you, but the Kohanim who lived in Meishan, like Pidol Grushos, they're not careful enough not to marry Grushos. Hey, wait a second. Did you hear that? Shmuel said that Meishan is not so bad, and Meishan has no avodim issues. So Shmuel says Meishan had no avodim. If Shmuel says Meishan, now this is now like a clear proof. Shmuel says a Meishan is no avodim, not significantly, and therefore Shmuel cannot say that avodim were sent to Meishan by the droves by Nebuchadnezzar, advised by who? By this Platya guy. So must be Platya did not give the good advice. So must be Shmuel is the one who said that Platya was super bad, 100% bad, and Yecheskel was angry. Why did he die so nicely? And Shmuel does not think Platya was good. Says the Gemara, a yes question, and then we continue. And rejects the Gemara. No, not necessarily. The Gemara is rejecting this attempt to prove. And says the Gemara, really I will tell you, Shmuel Omer Letoiva. Maybe really Shmuel thinks that Platya had that good deed, and Platya did what? Maybe he really engineered it. The Jews would stay here, and Avodim would go to Meishan. If so, how can Shmuel say that Meishan is Avodim free? If Shmuel thinks Latoiva, the Avodim came to Meishan, how can he say there's no Avdus issues in Meishan? Answers the Gemara, this is something extremely important, La Halacha of Avodim. Shmuel follows his own reason. Doma, what did Shmuel say in Maseches Gitin Daf Lamed Ches? Hamafkir avdoi yotzo lecherus ve'en tzorich get shichur, which means before the Shenema. Let me explain. As I told you many times, and as we saw in this Masechta many times, Daf Chav Gimel Chav Daled, how many hats, so to speak, how many halachic hats does the Eved Knani wear? 2. An Eved Knani is owned by someone. You own the table, you own the Eved Knani. Secondly, Eved Knani has a different halachic status. He's not a regular Ben Yisrael. He's not allowed to marry a Bas Yisrael, right? Usually, according to Rav, the mainstream opinion, I would say, the way usually it's looked at, even if a master said to his Eved, I'm freeing you, Abraham Lincoln convinced me, all very nice. I'm going to get other people to pick the cotton, all very good. I'm letting you free. Okay, so it doesn't own him anymore. Financially speaking, it's not his. Like I can tell you, okay, this phone is not mine, take it. But does that mean that the Eved is already not Eved mitzad the halachas, mitzad Even Ezer, mitzad marrying a Jewish girl? No. Is he Jewish? Does he have to put on tefillin? No. It's 2 separate cheshbonos. You need to give him a get shichur. You need to give him a get, like a get that says that he's free, and therefore he's a free man and he's a Jew. He's a converting him. That's what Rav holds. But Shmuel holds otherwise. I'm reading again. But Shmuel says not like that. Shmuel says the Omar, a mafkir avdoi, a person who was mafkir's eved, he disowned. Yeah, he gave away, gave up on his eved. Yotza lecherus. The eved is automatically free mitzad the financial part, and also the ein tzorich get shichur. Wow. He does not need get shichur, which means that eved does not need the get to make him Jewish. He automatically becomes fully Jewish. Just by not being owned by the original master, he's Jewish. Shenemar, kol eved ish miknas kesef. It says in the Torah, in Shmois, kol eved ish, the eved of a man is miknas kesef. Is something that he owns. It has monetary value and ownership. Like the Shmuel, eved ish v'lo eved isha. What does it say, eved ish? Excluding an eved of a woman? No, women can also own slaves. Ela eved sheyesh l'rashus l'rabbi olov kori eved. An eved that has the authority and the ownership of a master over him is called an eved. Eved she'en l'rabbi rashus olov en kori eved. An Eved who does not have a master is not an Eved at all, not even for the halachos of marriage. What does it have to do with us? Very, very simple. You tell me, people. What did Platya tell Nebuchadnezzar? He says, you know what, Nebuchadnezzar? Let's strike a deal. We are choshev. I mean, mention we are choshev people, and you're choshev. Let VIP slave serve VIP king. Who's going to go to your son-in-law? Your son-in-law is less choshev. Who's going to go to him? The avodim. Okay. So that what did Nebuchadnezzar do? Took the avodim of the Jewish captives and sent them to Meshan. At that happy moment, the Jews were forced to disown their avodim, whether they wanted to or not. Mimela now they're free Jews. And what's the label? Charurim. Charurim is okay. They're free Jews. They're gerim. Gerim are kosher Jews. Except for Yoires cannot marry a Kohen or Charura. Other than that, an Eved Meshucha can marry a Rosh Hashiva's daughter. Can marry whoever he wants. Mimela, according to Shmuel, it's not an issue. It's not a stira. Could be the both members can coexist. On one hand, could be Shmuel holds that all very nice and amazing and good. That really Platya was relatively nice. And he sent Avodim to Meshan. Why is Shmuel saying now, 100 years later, hundreds of years later, that Meshan is okay from Avodim? Of course, because once Avodim were eradicated from the masters, they're not Avodim anymore at all. The Charuri, Meshuchorim are kosher. It's okay, a whole bunch of Gerim, Gesund, it's all good. That's one shot, very good. Now, now we're continuing more about the Mamzerim issues. So that we discussed yesterday. The avodim, it doesn't say the avodim were taken, and again, because the Rishonim stay here, and Eved, it's a very funny situation. And Eved is not really part of Klal Yisrael. Mitzad marriage, Eved is committed to mitzvahs like a woman. He's obligated to fulfill mitzvahs like a woman, right? Not like a man. And if you kill an Eved, they kill you. In other words, he's considered like a Jewish person in certain things. But when it comes to yichus and marriage, non-entity is even worse than the goy. There's no marriage by avodim. The whole life is by one big ifkeres. They live like in college campus every night. They do whatever they want. So the avodim, what about them? Avodim are not part of Klal Yisrael. So Ezra, didn't take care of that. I assume that's, I don't know. Maybe the Rishonim say something which I missed. I don't know. But the Pashtus avodim are not part of the story. Or maybe they were brought. You know something? I'll tell you even better. Maybe they were brought with him, but they're not counted as one of the 10 groups. Because they're not fully Jewish. They're not Jews for marriage. A mamzer is Jewish and is marriage material for very few people, right? And Eved is Pashat not Jewish l'gabe nisuin. So it's not mentioned. Maybe they were brought. Who cares? They're not part of Klal Yisrael vis-a-vis marriage, and therefore they're not mentioned. I think that could be a good job. Yes. Now let's remember what we've been learning all the time. You tell me, please, because I'm a little bit tired. So you do the talking. Which country? Yeah, there are 3 gold medal, silver medal, and what's the third one? Platinum, bronze. Right, Arad, it's called in Hebrew. Which country is the purest for Yuchsim? Babylonia. Second place is the land of Israel. Third, everywhere else. Chutz, right? That's what we've been learning till now. Why is that? Because Ezra really cleared out, did a great job cleansing Bavel from Mamzerim. He brought them to Eretz Yisrael, but in Eretz Yisrael they're being, supervised. In Eretz Yisrael there are Mamzerim, but we're kind of careful. Bavel is supposed to technically Mamzerim free, and the other countries, what can you do? Ezra didn't have control over the entire world, so places like Elam, Meshan, bad news. There was more Mamzeris over there. It doesn't mean Chas v'Shalom everybody was such sinners, but Mamzerim infiltrated. There was no control, no good rabbinate to make sure that things are done right. And the Mamzerim infiltrated the whole society and became, unfortunately, infected with Mamzerus. Okay. By the way, the one who says that Bavel is purer than Israel was Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Now we're going to see a different statement by Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel contradicting the other one. Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Zudi Rabbi Meir, meaning the fact that Bavel is considered as pure and purer than Eretz Yisrael, that's true according to Rabbi Meir, because our Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. Aval Chachamim Oimrim, Chachamim say no, Wow. Chachamim say no, all countries are kosher. In other words, we assume Jews are kosher. We're not assuming the worst. Yeah, besides what Ezra did, very nice. But the other countries, Madai, Elam, Meishan, all these funny places around Bavel, they're all kosher. Yeah, maybe Ezra cleaned all of them. Maybe there's no concern. I didn't see anything clear in the Rishonim, but this opinion holds Pashut more lenient. The Tefillah, according to Chachamim, other countries, not only Bavel, are also clean and kosher. Okay, good. A Meimar, based on that, a Meimar, the Amoira called a Meimar, Sharle le Rav Huna bar Nosson, he allowed Rav Huna bar Nosson leminsav itisa mechuzaisa. He allowed Rav Huna bar Nosson to marry a woman who was a mechuzait. She was from Mechoiza. Now Mechoiza, although we traditionally consider Mechoiza as Bavel, by the way, Mechoiza, there was a yeshiva there, and Rava lived there. But Mechoiza is outside the halachic borders, which we learned about yesterday. Mechoiza is not in that between the rivers area. It's not there. Yeah. So the question is, how did they allow him to marry a woman from a place outside Bavel? The countries surrounding Bavel were very problematic, according to the original opinion. Amal Ravashi is now asking a Meimar, my daitich, why do you do that? Why did you allow him to marry a woman from a place outside Bavel? Aren't you concerned she's a mamzeres? I know what you think. You think Doma of Yuda Omer Shmuel, Zudi Rabbi Meir. You hold by the second version of Yuda Omer Shmuel that says that the only one who says that Bavel is clean and the other countries are not clean is Rabbi Meir. Right? You follow that version, that Gilsa, that says that according to Chachamim, the mainstream opinion, all lands, all countries are considered kosher, and therefore you allow him to marry a woman from outside Bavel. Is that what you think? I'm going to show you. The Aber of Kahana, I'm sorry, excuse me, the yeshiva of Rav Kahana, loy matnihachi. In the yeshiva of Rav Kahana, they did not learn the statement of Rav Yudah Omer Shmuel this way. They learned the original statement of Yudah Omer Shmuel that says what? That says that everybody thinks that other countries are a problem and only Bavel is good. In the yeshiva of Rav Papa, they don't learn it this way. Yeah, in the yeshiva Shavelt, in the yeshiva world, they learned the more stringent opinion that really other countries are not good, they're not nice. I'm giving you 3 yeshivas already. In yeshiva of Rav Zvid, they don't learn the statement of Yudah Omer Shmuel this way. So how can you go against the entire world? Wow. Even after all that, really, a Meimar did not accept that the opinion of Rav Ashi. Why not? He's bringing him 3 Basei Medrash where they learned against his psak. Wow. Because he heard that more lenient opinion, the lenient version of Yudah Omer Shmuel, that says that according to Chachamim, all countries are good. The one who told him that was Rav Zvid of Nardo. And Rav Zvid of Nardo, for him, he surpassed everybody. Yeah, like somebody who tells you something on behalf of 3 average Rabbonim or yeshivas, and you know, the Poisik Hador, the most choshev one, said otherwise. You follow that. That was his opinion, and he kept following that opinion, and he allowed people to marry girls from Mechuzah because he says, yeah, although Mechuzah is not Bavel, I follow the opinion that other people, that other countries are also kosher. Now we're going to see something very interesting, and I will go here a little bit into the opinions of the Rishonim. And the question is, as we've touched on the question already before twice, what's going to happen in the future? Ooh, everyone's curious to know. We know that Eliyahu Novi will come, and the Rambam says, just giving his introduction, Eliyahu Novi will tell each and every one of us from each shevet he came. You think from Yehuda, maybe you're Binyamin. You think you're a Kohen, you're not a Kohen. You think you're not a Kohen, you're a Kohen. Maybe you came from the tribe of Zvulun, although the Seres Shvatim, maybe you jumped back in. Eliyahu Novi will tell each one which shevet. Eliyahu Novi will tell people, for example, if they're chalolim. You think you're kosher Kohen, you're cholol. You thought you were cholol, no, you're kosher. V'chule, v'chule. Eliyahu Novi will tell people, you think you're an eved, you're not an eved. You think v'chule. Yeah. Now, the question is, we saw before, in the previous Amud, or before, Eliyahu Novi will be merachek, umekarev, mitayer, umetame. Eliyahu Novi will make people, will distance people, and some of them bring close, and some of them he'll say they are tomeh or tohor. Now, the question is, the $1 million question is, let's say somebody is a mamzer. Will Eliyahu Novi come to the person and say, you are a mamzer? or you come from Mamzerus, two questions, and therefore don't marry. Don't marry a girl, a single guy. The Leon will say, your Mamzer, you can only marry Mamzeres or Gioires, stay away from other people. Will Elnovi reveal the truth regarding Mamzer, yes or no? Up until now, we assumed yes, because we said, Rachik, Mekarev, now we're going to see it's a Machloikis. Another introduction, we spoke about families that were, remember, there's Machloikis. A family, the mainstream opinion said that a family shenitmea nitmea, right? A family that was already assimilated into the Jewish nation, and Mamzer, Mamzeres, they somehow managed to infiltrate 3-4 generations ago. Then what did we say? Eliyahu Novi will not reject them. Now let's see the following machloekes. Tonu Rabbanon. Tonu Rabbanon. Before we continue, I'm going to 1 second. I'm going to read the Gemara first, okay, and then I'm going to read a piece from the Ran, from inside the Rishonim. Tanu Rabbanon. Mamzerim and Nesini. Mamzerim and Nesinim. Nesinim are basically Mamzerim midorabonon. What are Nesinim? Nesinim are the Givoinim. David the Melech said, whoever comes from Givoinim is the same status as the Mamzer, even though his parents never did anything wrong. All of them automatically have the status of Mamzer midorabonon. Mamzerim and Nesini tohorim laosid lo v'diva Rabbi Yossi. Says Rabbi Yossi, Mamzerim and Nesinim, in future they'll be pure. Says Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Meir Omer en tehorim. Rabbi Meir says no, they're not tehorim. Rabbi Meir says no, in future the Mamzerim will not be purified. They'll stay Mamzerim and stay out of Klal Yisrael. There's a big machlokes Rishonim regarding what is the machlokes Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Meir. What kind of Mamzerim did they talk about? But before we go into the Rishonim, I want to continue in the Gemara. Amar loy Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is trying to prove his point that in future, Mamzerim will be purified and accepted to Klal Yisrael. Says Rabbi Yossi. It says, also in Yecheskel, by the way, it says, V'zohakti alechem ma'im tehorim utehartem. It says, I will sprinkle upon you holy, pure water, like a pora aduma, and you'll become pure. So Rabbi Yossi is learning, that talks about Mamzerim. Hashem will purify the Mamzerim. Amar Rabbi Meir, says Rabbi Meir, who says we're talking about Mamzerim? Mamzerim? Shiur mikol tumoseichem umikol gilulechem v'lo min Mamzerus. It says, I will purify you from Tuma and from Gilulim from Avodah Zarah. Doesn't say Mamzerus. I saw the Malbim, I saw the Novi inside this morning. The Malbim says there are two types of Tuma which Eliyahu Novi will purify us from. What What are they? Physical Tuma, Tumas Meis. We're all Tumei Meisim, you know that? And also Tuma of the mind. We're so affected by the Avodah Zarah of the Goyim. Our minds were so dirty from all the shtusim of the goyim, of the surroundings, without even realizing that all the ashkafas, Hashem will purify us from that, not from Mamzerus. Yeah, he'll be purified inside and outside. But with the guys in Mamzer, he won't be purified. Omar Rabbi Yossi. Now Rabbi Yossi is responding to Rabbi Meir and says, no. Shehu Omer etar heschem ve'omer afin Mamzerus. Rabbi Yossi says, if you follow the pasuk, if you continue, yeah, the pasuk ends up with why do you have to add the words atayr eschem? To tell you there's a third kind of tahara, from tumas meis, from tuma of television, internet, etc., and culture, and mamzerus. Tuma of mamzerus is also something Hashem will purify. That's how Rabbi Yossi is learning, and Rabbi Meir does not respond to that. According to Rabbi Meir, I understand. According to Rabbi Meir, it makes sense when it says, again, Rabbi Meir says that in future, Mamzerim will not be purified. They will be still singled out. They will have to marry within themselves, etc. According to Rabbi Meir, it makes sense when it says, Vayeshev Mamzer be'Ashdod. The Mamzerim will live in Ashdod. I don't know if people do that when they learn this in Ashdod. Basically, the Mamzerim will sit on their own. They'll have their own places, such as Ashdod. It's actually a very nice city. Okay, Mamzerim don't complain. They can go to the marina, go to the beach. Mamzerim going to Ashdod, right? So now, why does it make sense according to Rabbi Meir? They'll be singled out. They'll start a community of their own. According to Rabbi Yossi, which Mamzer are you talking about? According to Rabbi Yossi, Mamzer will be accepted to Klal Yisrael, right? So Mamzer can sit wherever he wants. He can live in Yerushalayim, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and marry the daughter of, I don't know, Kohen Gadol, can marry whoever he wants, yeah? Answers the Gemara, no. Let's defend Rabbi Yossi. The Mitagim of Yosef, as Rabbi Yosef translated the Posuk, something very interesting. Yosvun Beis Yisrael leruchzan be'arayhoin de'avudamu ba lenuchroin. Very interesting, which means Be'eshem Mamzer B'Ashdod means like this. Did it occur to you that the last two letters in the word Mamzer are Zar? A Mamzer is Mum Zar. Is a blemish that makes him Zar, estranged. Yeah, basically, like an alien, like alienated. Yeah, what? Separate. Now, we always said in our countries, or even in our own country, this is mamish a prophecy for today. In future, Beis Yisrael will be able to live in Ashdod, even in Ashdod, in all parts of Eretz Yisrael, will be sitting leruchzan, will be sitting quietly, calmly, safely, securely, peacefully in our own lands, in which we ourselves lived like mamzerim. Doesn't mean we're mamzerim. We lived like strangers in our own country. Look at that. What did he tell us now? Your grandson's friend, one died, one was amputated. Lo leinu, is that called life? We're living here like strangers, under threat all the time, as if it's not our own country. In future, we'll be able to live even in Ashdod safely. But don't you see the prophecy? Ashdod is right near where? Near Gaza. Even in a place like Ashdod, look, it's prophecy right in front of you. We should make a YouTube clip out of it just from that. Even in a place where we live like Nechroin, we'll be able to live peacefully. Even in Ashdod, there won't be any missiles from Gaza. Wow. You see? So basically, that's what's going on over here. But it has nothing to do with Mamzerim, because according to Rav Yossi, really there are no Mamzerim. Before, again, we go to the Rishonim, let's just finish off. Omer V'Yehuda, Omer Shmuel, Halochek Rabbi Yossi. Halach is like Rabbi Yossi. Then in future, Mamzerim will be purified. Omer Rabbi Yosef, Ilav Omer V'Yehuda, Omer Shmuel, Halochek Rabbi Yossi, if not for what Rav Yehuda Omer Shmuel said, that Rabbi Yossi is the right one, and Mamzerim will not be kept away from us. Have a Eliyahu mapik minat tzavoni kolorin. If not for that, Eliyahu Novi would have been able to take them from us in their droves, like group by group. He would be able to take them away from us and separate them, tzavoni or kolarin. Kolarin is like like in chains. You'll be able to take them out in chains. So basically, neck shekels, right? Kolar is neck shekel. Thank you. Very good. True. So what's the story over here? Now it's time to learn the Rishonim. Says the Ran, quoting the Ramban, and I also saw the Ramban inside today. Which mamzerim are these that, according to Rabbi Yossi, will be kosher? Says Ramban, unbelievable. Says Ramban like this. Yeah. Says, yeah. Yeah. Afilu beyeduin. The ones that Eliyahu Novi will sort out, as I told you already, are avodim, yes eved, no eved, or chalolim, yes cholol, no cholol. But a mamzer, afilu beyeduin. Let's say there's a mamzer, 20 years old, in shiduchim, and people know he's a mamzer. Wow, you know he's a mamzer. You're not allowed to marry him. Eliyahu will purify him. Wow. Eliyahu will purify him. There will be a chiddush of Eliyahu Novi in La'osid Lavoi. It's as if mamzers will not apply. You know he's a mamzer? Go ahead, marry whoever you want. Oh, gee. That's according to Ramban. That's what learns Rabbi Yossi. What about those that were assimilated? No. Ilu oisin shenitmu. Those that were infiltrated and are sophic, or that 2-3 generations ago that family had mamzeres. They're already inside, already in the family. No. That afilu doing them even nowadays. It's not a chiddush osid lovoi. Remember what we learned halacha, and it's halacha that there are more paskins. If let's say you know that the mamzer was in the family, somebody suggesting a shidduch to your friend's daughter, and you know that his grandmother is a mamzeres, but nobody else knows, you're not supposed to be mefalsim. So says Ramban, that's not news. That's not something of the future. We're trying to be futuristic. Future. That's not future. If you talk about a family that's been nitma, a family that infiltrated, that's not a chiddush. It's not something unique to Eliyahu in future. That's today too. 2024. Mashiach is unfortunately not here yet. And if you know today, halacha l'maisa, you ask the rabbi, and you know that the grandmother is a mamzeres of that shidduch suggestion, you may tell him quietly. We said, remember, you don't advertise it. Shkoyach. It's not special for Eliyahu. The chiddush of Eliyahu Novi, even greater. That even sure mamzerim, even mamzerim, 100% mamzerim, even then will be allowed into the nation. I saw the Ramban inside. The Ramban says, "Are going to change? What do you mean? How could he do that? Right? The Torah never changes. Losid lova, all of a sudden halachas won't apply." Answers Ramban on his own question. He says, "No, really, of course, when Mashiach will come, eventually, if there are mamzerim, I don't think there will be in the times of Mashiach, the mamzerim will not be allowed in, to marry. But there will be like a one-off chance. When Mashiach comes, there will be new reality. It will be a reset. And those mamzerim, that were mamzerim before the times of Mashiach, they'll get a one-time chance to marry into Klal according to Rabbi Yossi, v'zeh haloche. Yeah. After that, if there are mamzerim, which is very unlikely because people won't sin in times of Mashiach, halacha is back to normal. There'll be like a hiroas shah, one-off thing. That's who? That's Ramban. Ran is very upset with the Ramban. Many questions he has on the Ramban. And therefore the Ran says no. The Ran says no. If there's a Vade Mamzer, Eliyahu Novi will identify each and every person. You're an Eved, you're Cholol, and I'm sorry, you're a Mamzer. If it's known that he's a Mamzer, he's clearly a Mamzer, first generation. He himself is a result of, I don't know, some reform get, something funny. Then what? No, Eliyahu Novi will not allow him to marry anybody except for Mamzerim, Gerim, v'chulei. So what's the story of Rabbi Yossi? A family that infiltrated Mishpacha Shenit Me'ah. Now, what did the Ramban say? That it's not a Chiddush? Says the Ran the other way around. No. The Ran says the Chiddush is as follows. We don't know for sure, if that grandmother is a mamzer, you don't know for sure, right? That it's a suffix. We're not sure, right? So if you're not sure, or even if you think you know, don't say anything. But in the Osid Love, Eliyahu Novi, maybe since he knows everything 100%, he has those X-ray vision, and he knows for sure, and he's the one who's going to come reveal everything so clearly. Maybe Eliyahu Novi, he's mechuyev to do more of cleaning our job, a better clean our job. He's Eliyahu Novi, I'm not. Today we better keep shtum because it's nitma, it's a suffix, it's a thing. Eliyahu Novi, I'd expect more of him. Show us the whole truth. No, even Eliyahu Novi will basically, listen to me, will keep the halacha the same way it is now. The Ramban thought Eliyahu Novi will have to do something different to us. It says, no, Eliyahu Novi will keep the halacha will stay the same way it is now. Just like today, not supposed to advertise when someone is a nitma, is infiltrated, and he was his grandmother as Zoy. Eliyahu Novi has to. No, Eliyahu Novi will keep the halacha the same way it is, status quo now, even though he's Eliyahu Novi, and Eliyahu Novi will clear other things. He'll clarify the avodim. He'll tell us who's mamzerim, who's different shvatim, but the mamzerim will keep shtum. And the Rambam is like the Ran. The Rambam, halacha l'maisa, Rambam is the halachist, and the Rambam says, yes, in future, the Eliyahu Novi will tell us many secrets which we didn't know, but he will not reveal the identity of mamzerim of, let's say, second, third generation that were already infiltrated. He will let them stay the way they are. But if a mamzer is a mamzer known, he's the first one. This is the one. This is the one, a result of a neighbor and ish. Eliyahu Novi will tell him, Mister, stay away. That is according to Ran and Rambam. Okay, that's only according to Rabbi Yossi. According to Rabbi Meir, anyhow, you reveal the identity. Continue. We don't have much time, but let's start a little bit of the next sugya. Tono abono. Ger noise mamzeres. A ger may marry a mamzeres. Why is it that the ger may marry a mamzeres? Because a mamzer, why can a ger marry a mamzeres? Tell me. A ger, the convert, why is he allowed to marry a mamzeres woman? Because it says about a mamzer, lo yovoy, b'kahal Hashem. A mamzer is not allowed to come to the congregation of Hashem. And ger is a separate kahal. Gerim have their own congregation. They are different to the regular kahal. And therefore, Vlad, right, the mamzer may marry into the kahal of the gerim, not kahal Yisrael. Now, what about the child? Is the child kosher or mamzer? Mamzer and Gioris got married, or Ger and Mamzeres. What about them? The child, is he mamzer or kosher? Very nice. You said it very nicely. Usually we follow the father when it comes to Kohen Levi v'chulei, but the Mishnah said at the end of Perek Shlishi that when it comes to Psul, Mamzer, the Gemara gave it Rosha, Mamzer is B'kol Tzad Mamzerus. Either father or mother, once there's a blemish, the blemish sticks, sadly so, and the child is a Mamzer. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ger lo yisa Mamzeres. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, Ger should not marry Mamzeres. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda says that basically, Kahal Gerim are called the Kahal. Just like a Ger is Jewish, a Ger is part of the Jewish nation completely, and just like a Mamzer may not marry any person from Kahal Yisrael, Kahal Gerim are part of Kahal Yisrael, he shouldn't marry a Ger either. I'm not going to continue because basically that's up until we're prepared for today. So let's summarize. So nowadays, if you know that somebody is a Mamzer himself, he is first generation. He's a mamzer, and you know it. Yeah, I mean, as much as you can know. You're not a Leonovi, but it's very, very highly likely. What do you say? You tell your friend this guy himself is a mamzer. If he was already nitma, if the family were already nitma, which means they've been in the family a few generations that other people don't know, but you know. Maybe one of the chachomim who convenes once in 7 years, right? He knows a mamzer. Not supposed to advertise that. You may say to the family who's asking about a shidduch, you may tell them that quietly, but don't advertise the family once it's nitma. What about Eliyahu Novi? According to the Ran, Eliyahu Novi will follow halacha as it is today. Although Eliyahu Novi has better knowledge of 15 generations ago, some funny story of Amzeros, Eliyahu Novi will keep the halacha as it is now and keep quiet, according to Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Meir says no. Rabbi Meir says, and that's what Rabbi Meir says. If that's what the other opinion says, Eliyahu Novi would have been able to take them in the droves. He'll be able to take them because he really, really knows. And even Eliyahu Novi will keep quiet. That's the Ran. What did the Ramban say? Ramban says no. Ramban says, of course, those assimilated will stay assimilated. Eliyahu Novi will not reveal. Of course, Eliyahu keeps halacha. The Chiddush is, according to Ramban, according to Rabbi Yosi, even a known mamzer will get a second chance. They'll get a reset, another chance for life. For marriage. That's opinion of Rabbi Yosi, and we pass on like Rabbi Yosi, so losid lavoi, we'll see what the halach is like, if mamzerim will be allowed or not allowed. It will be interesting to see. Okay, I personally don't know any mamzerim, so I don't know, but not as far as I know. So basically, we'll leave it at that. We have a tzlacha, kedusha, v'tahara. Tomorrow, remember, we are towards the end of Ayin Beis Amud Beis, right? Yeah, thank you very much. Tzlacha. Thank you, everybody on YouTube and on Torah anytime, for your love, support, and attention. Thank you. Atzlacha u'bracha.